Hi everyone and welcome back. Okay, so in this video we're going to be taking a close look at the new Arteza travel journals. Now when I received these, they came in a pack of three sketchbooks there. Now confusing thing is, on the website it says that they come in a pack of two. So that's kind of thrown the prices out a little bit. Now on the website, on the UK website, it says a pack of two of these for $26.99, and the same in the USA, $26.99 in dollars for two. But like I say, I got sent three, so I don't know if they should have put three on the website, or if you will get two travel journals if you order them. Or if I just got lucky and just got three. I really don't know what's going on there. Slightly confused about that, but anyway, I just thought I'd mention that before we get stuck into using these sketchbooks. So let's just take a quick look at them then. I'll just take a look at the top one. Now, the first thing you'll notice about this is just how thick it is compared to any other sketchbooks you've got. It's really thick. So you get 132 pages, and the weight of the paper is 118 pounds or 175 grams. Now just quickly do a quick comparison here. This is another sketchbook that I've got. Just look at the difference in thickness there, look. This one has 128 pages in it, and this one's got 132, so it's got a few more pages in, but it's really the thickness of the paper, the quality of the paper that's actually making this really a thick looking sketchbook. One other thing I'll just mention as well while I've got this out, this is a true A5 size, and the size stated on the Arteza one is 5.1 inches by 8.3 inches. Now you can see it's not a true A5, you can see that it's a little bit shorter, look, than a true A5, but the size is very similar. And it does say on the label here that it's acid free, heavyweight paper, expandable inner pocket, ideal for a variety of dry media. 132 pages, premium, and I've just read the size and the weight there. So let's take a look inside and let's have a look at the paper and see what we've got. So we've got this this leaflet here, and take a look at that, at some of the other products there that Arteza do. Okay, so we've obviously got the elastic there to keep the book together, and we've got all the standard features of a good travel journal. You know, we've got the rounded corners, very hard covers that you can't bend, really stiff, sturdy covers they are, and we've got the expandable inner pockets at the back there. Keep all your bits and pieces in that. Very handy. Place there to put your name and address, and also you can see there we've got the page dividing ribbon in there like that. So like I say, the first thing you notice is just, you know, the general feel and quality of it, just how thick and sturdy this actually feels. It's got a sort of textured cover on it which reminds me a little bit of fiberglass actually. I quite like that. I think it's a good durable looking cover that's going to stand up to wear and tear, you know, in your backpack or whatever really well. So far everything's looking really good. Now one thing I have noticed with this, when they're brand new, if you listen to this, look, it sounds like it's going to rip when you open it, and it's very, very stiff. Very stiff. I've opened one of the other ones several times, and it's not ripped, it's not damaged at all. It's just the fact that it's new, never been opened, it just feels really, really stiff. So when you get one, just open it a few times, all the way, and everything will become a little bit more kind of supple and usable. And you know, each time you use a new page, you're just going to have to just bend the cover a little bit just so that the sketchbook stays open. It's not a problem. I've had other sketchbooks that do that. A lot of them do that when they're new, but this one was sort of very noticeably stiff when you open it. It feels more like a friction hinge. It's very, very stiff, but they soon get nice and supple, and like I say, the binding is really good in here, so I don't think you're going to rip them at all. No, they're built to last. They really are built to last. We've got, if we take a quick look at the stitching, actually, just mention the binding. Try and find a page where I can actually see the stitching for you. Yeah, there we go. I don't know if you can kind of see that stitching there, but it's quite thick, plenty of it, and it looks like it's been done really well. We've got the binding there on the back of the spine, thick tape there down the edge and sewn, so that shouldn't come apart. That should be absolutely fine. Okay, now it's like I say, this is a very thick travel journal in comparison to other travel journals that I've got, and that's obviously due to the weight of the paper. So just looking at the paper now, you can see that it's very thick, heavyweight paper in there. Feels like thin card actually. It's really thick. I mean, this would probably stand up, I mean, although it says for dry media, I mean, it would probably stand up okay to a few light washes of watercolour, although there won't be any sizing or anything on this paper. Just the thickness of it might mean that it won't buckle too much with wet media, so we'll test that and see how it performs. Now, another thing, it might be difficult for you to notice actually, but the colour of the pages is slightly off-white. In fact, I'll just get a sheet of printer paper and we'll do a comparison. Okay, so I've got a sheet of printer paper here. I don't know how well the camera's going to pick the difference up there, but it's a slight sort of cream tint to the paper, whereas regular printer paper is sort of bleached white anyway, very bright white. But the Arteza sketchbooks are nice because that creamy, I mean, when I say creamy, it's not a cream tint, it's a white paper, but it's just sort of off-white. So don't be put off by that, it's not a tinted paper. But when you're actually outdoors working in bright sunlight, and you're using really bright paper, you can get a nasty glare off that, and it can actually give you a bit of a headache, as you're drawing. So a paper that's sort of slightly off-white, a little bit creamy, it's going to be nicer to work on, in bright sunlight. So I think that's something in its favour, actually. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to set up some watercolours, some pencils and everything, and we'll do a few swatches and we'll test the paper, and then we'll do a little drawing in here. And we'll see how it performs. Right, okay, so I'm set up now with a few art materials. First thing I'm going to use actually is just a regular 2B pencil, and I'm just, well, before I actually do that, let me just show you something, see if the camera will pick this up, because what I've noticed is the paper, the grain on the paper, is the camera picking that up? I don't know if the camera's going to actually pick up the texture of the paper there, but the grain on the paper is quite textured actually. So it's going to be interesting to see if we get any grain texture showing through when we're using pencils. See a little bit coming through there, it's not bad. In fact, I prefer a little bit of grain on my paper anyway, because it allows you to layer up several times with graphite or coloured pencils, and you can get nice dark tones on textured paper. Not so easy to erase on, but we're going to test that as well. Okay, now I'm just going to go in with a 6B. So these soft pencils really can sort of show up the grain texture on paper there. Probably got some glare on it there, sorry about that. But the laydown of graphite there is not bad at all. A little bit of texture showing, but that's normal. We can soon blend that if we need to, and we'll just test that now, see how well it blends. Oh, it blends lovely on this paper, look. So it smooths out really well. We can move the graphite across there Yeah, I'm going to have no problem with drawing graphite on this. In fact, it looks a very nice paper. Yeah, it looks a very nice paper indeed, actually. So let's just give it one more test and see how it erases. Because like I mentioned earlier, sometimes coarse papers are very difficult to erase on. That's perfect. Look, even over the 6B, which can be very hard to erase, that's coming up nice and clean on there. And on the 2B as well. Absolutely no problems whatsoever with erasing or blending or laying down graphite. So it's going to be an ideal graphite sketchbook, that's for sure. Now I know it says this is meant for dry media, this sketchbook, but I was just very curious to actually try a little bit of watercolour on here and see what happens. I'll try just a light wash of colour, and then we'll actually try a little bit of wet into wet as well and see what happens. Do you know what, that lays down watercolour really nice. I'm just going to keep brushing over it because this is where you can find the weakness in certain papers. In fact, let me just tilt that up a little bit as well because it's kind of glaring in the light there, isn't it? When you repetitively brush over certain cartridge papers, they start to bobble. This one that's not a fault with the paper, but it's definitely bobbling up. But the first few brush strokes there, just do that again. If you were just to sort of, you know, fill an area in quickly and then just leave it to dry, look at that. That's really nice for watercolour. So I'm just wondering now if we could actually use a little bit of wet into wet, or would we run into any bobbling and pilling of the paper. So I'll just use some clean water, and in fact I'm going to wet this whole area and we'll see if the paper buckles as well, because I'm suspecting it won't. It's quite a thick paper. Just trying to, I don't know, pretend we're just doing a little sky or something. We'll just block it in with colour just to see the effect. I mean, even going over it there with the water as one layer and then going over it with the paint as a second, it's just started to bobble a little bit, but when that dries, that might dry okay. I don't know, it might dry worse. We'll just have to see. So repetitive brushwork is going to cause bobbling, but you can see there, look, where I just brushed over it once, it looks like a really nice quality watercolour paper, doesn't it? And I can't see too much in the way of buckling either on that, so this might actually work out to be a nice sort of mixed media sketchbook, travel journal. I mean, just after that little test there, I wouldn't hesitate now in doing sort of a pencil and wash or a pen and wash on this paper. As long as I don't use repetitive brush strokes and keep working in it while it's still wet, you'll be absolutely fine with this. Right, okay. So what I'll do now, I'll cut to another video I've made of a drawing I've done where I use graphite and ink together. So I wanted to test this paper for ink as well to see if we get any bleed through on the pages. So I'm doing a proper full-on drawing now, not just little swatches and everything. So here's the video. Okay, so I've got one of the pages open there and I've got some tape around the edges to make a nice border, and I'm just starting with an HB pencil, just putting a basic line drawing in, and again the paper performed beautifully just for line drawing, no problems whatsoever. Now I'm using a black ink pen, in fact it's a brush pen, so it's laying down quite a lot of ink, and I can tell you now straight off the bat there was no ink bleed through on the other side of the paper at all, and also there was no feathering of the edges, so the ink didn't sort of bleed out on the surface of the paper either. So for ink work, again, this paper is absolutely fine. I know some people like a very fine grained paper for ink work, but as you can see here, I have no problem whatsoever in getting nice fine detail with a 0.1 fine liner on this paper. It was absolutely perfect. In fact, the little bit of texture there, I could actually move the pen across the paper very quickly and get sort of a dry brush effect, which was really nice. And a few layers of graphite, again, no problems whatsoever, laying down graphite or ink. The whole drawing went really easily, nothing weird happened. You know, the paper was an absolute pleasure to work on. Okay, so conclusion then. Would I recommend this paper, these sketchbooks? Well, I think you already know the answer to that, don't you? Yes, I would actually. I think they're very good. I just want to show you where the watercolour has dried there. Look, the pilling on the paper has kind of settled down and it looks absolutely fine. So obviously we can see brush marks in there. I mean, this isn't watercolour paper and Arteza aren't selling it as that. It was just that I fancied trying this just to see if it would take a few washes. I mean, if it would, it becomes more of a versatile sketchbook. And I would say yes, you're okay to use watercolour in these pages, although Arteza don't recommend it. You know, they say it's for dry media. Personally, I'm going to use this for a few light washes and not worry about it. I think it works really well for just light washes only, even a little bit of wet into wet. You know, it just works, doesn't it? I mean, it's a very versatile little sketchbook. Although, you know, the paper, as you can see, it has kind of buckled a little bit there. Look, you kind of see, you know, it's kind of warped a little bit, but it's nothing bad, and it's to be expected really with cartridge paper. Now I must just quickly say as well, I'm not paid to review these products or advertise these products or anything like that at all. In fact, I'm not even affiliated with Arteza, even though I'm going to leave a link to their website in the description below, and also there'll be a 10% coupon code for you there to use on the website if you you know, go ahead and purchase some of these sketchbooks. Now I just want to let you know I don't get any cut, any cash back, any money, any favours, anything through doing these reviews and providing those links. They're not affiliate links to me at all, they're just links to Arteza's website, and they very kindly give me a coupon code to pass on to you guys so that you know, you can get 10% off your next purchase with Arteza. It's for a limited time only, so if you do want to try these, I'd get in quick, because I think the coupon codes only last for a month or two in the description. So yeah, there we go. So yeah, all in all, a fantastic travel journal. And what I really like about it is it's really built to last. As soon as you hold this in your hand and, you know, you just feel how hard these covers are and how thick the pages are and everything, you know that's going to last. You know that's a very durable sketchbook. Yes, it's a little bit rough and ready, like for example that corner's not been cut perfectly straight, or you know, a few little rough edges here and there, but I like that about this sketchbook. It's one of those things that I'm going to be quite happy just to throw into my backpack and not worry about it. I know that my sketches are going to be safe in that you know, they're not going to get damaged. If that's in a rucksack and there's other things banging on that front cover, sharp objects and things, it's not going to dent, it's not going to get cut easily or anything like that. Everything in there is really well, you know, protected. And it's just the sort of thing that you really would take travelling with you, you know, as a travel journal. It really will stand up to life on the road, I think, this one. Sounds like a rock and roll star, doesn't it? But yeah, seriously, you know, it was the first impression I got when I took these out of the packet, just how tough and durable they feel and look. And no issues whatsoever with the paper. I really like the slight graininess of the paper there. I really think I could, you know, get some good use out of these sketchbooks. So if you've been looking for something like this, you know, a decent quality travel journal, have a look at the Arteza ones. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I'm certainly not. In fact, other travel journals, watercolour travel journals that Arteza have sent me in the past, and watercolour sketchbooks, I've been absolutely delighted with them. I haven't been disappointed with any of their products. I think for the price they are and for the market that they're aimed at, you know, students, beginners, intermediates, I I think they're a great buy. In fact, for professional artists as well, I would recommend them to professional artists as well, because like I say, if you're going to use this for its intended purpose, you know, a sketchbook, a travel journal, it's not meant for masterpieces and, you know, your best work. It's meant for capturing ideas on the go, or just for going out for an afternoon in the countryside, sitting under a nice shady tree and just enjoying the afternoon, sketching what you see. You know, very loose sketches and things like that. And for doing experiments and little doodles, that's what they're intended for. So they don't have to be, you know, Arches paper or Stonehenge paper or anything like that. You know, they are what they are. They're sketchbooks, they're travel journals, and they serve their purpose perfectly. And this one did as well. I'm certainly going to be chucking this in my rucksack when I go out sketching. And like I say, I'm going to be using it for a little bit of mixed media work as well. Why not? It works. You know, if I've done a little pencil sketch on there and I think, actually, that'd be nice with a little bit of colour. You know, I can make a few colour notes on here. I'm not trying to do a finished watercolour or anything like that, just make a few colour notes. And it'll be absolutely ideal for that. So, honestly, it ticks all the boxes for me. And again, thank you so much, Arteza, for sending these to me. Totally impressed. I really am totally impressed at the quality and price ratio. You can't go wrong. Excellent little travel journals. So there you go, that's my review. And it's like I say, you know, I'm not getting paid to do this, so this is an honest review. If I found anything wrong with these, believe me, you'll be the first to know. I mean, there are some products which I've reviewed in the past. I mean, take a look back, you know, through the history of my YouTube channel at some of the reviews I do. You know, I'm totally honest about everything. If I find something wrong, and I do get really picky with things, if I find something wrong, I tell you, you know, I point it out. But honestly, I can't find anything wrong with these, apart from the fact that I think when you get them, you'll be surprised, you know, at this cracking and stiffness that the book has, just because it's new. You know, the pages kind of want to close back up on themselves when you open it. The book doesn't want to stay open. But like I say, a little bit of pressure there just to open it out, and you're going to be fine. And look at that stitching. That's not going to rip. That's going to be absolutely fine. Okay, so if you like this video, give a thumbs up. And if you didn't, give a thumbs down. Doesn't bother me. But yeah, so thanks very much for viewing. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.